As I sit in this freezing cold river, I think about how best to tell the story of today's race. This is the story of a comeback against seemingly insurmountable odds. A story of fierce determination to finish strong. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Hour.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck, guys!
Welcome, Dad. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. Pleasure to be here.
I want to talk about the race you have just run this weekend. How was it?
It's called the Hour. It's part of the Pegasus Ultra Running Slam. 6 ultramarathons in 6 months. This is the second in the series. It's a 30-mile race in the Heartlands of Wales, with the equivalent elevation of over Ben Nevis. And the turnaround point was the source of the River Severn. I didn't even know this until after the race, one of the boys showed me. But I suppose I was in too much pain at the time to even pay attention.
Yes, so you have had bad hamstring injuries since the last race. How has that affected your preparation?
Well, as you can imagine, training's taken a hit. And I've only managed to run around 10 times in the whole 5 weeks since the South Cannon. So this has definitely made me adjust my goals.
That is a very funky t-shirt, Dad. Are you fundraising?
Yeah, I'm raising money for Big Moose. Big Moose is a charity that provides therapy for those struggling with mental health issues and a contemplated suicide. They've just reached 200, what they call graduates. 200 people through therapy. That's 200 lives saved. So I'm doing 6 ultramarathons in 6 months, and I'm doing 10 of Van next weekend, raising money for Big Moose.
Okay, talk to me about your race plan.
Well, knowing that I was carrying an injury, the sensible option would have been just for me to complete rather than compete. But my mind don't work like that, and I wanted to be top 5. So I didn't have a race plan other than to go out with a pace that felt comfortable, a pace that was going to be sustainable, and that would hopefully put me in the front pack.
So that's 5k in, 25 minutes. First place, by being chased down by 3 people looking strong. Hamstring, 5 or 6 out of 10. I feel like I've raced a 5k. There they are. There's the 3 of them.
You actually look like you raced a 5k there. What was going on in your mind at this point?
Well, I hadn't even recce'd the race because of my injury, and it definitely hit harder than I thought. With a lack of fitness, my body was working way harder than it should have been for this stage of the race. And as you can see by my heart rate, I was close to maximum. That, combined with my hamstring injury, I was fighting an uphill battle, pun intended.
Well, let's see if you are any better at 10k.
So, we're about 10k in, nearly. Got a good pack of 4. Enjoying it. Hamstring's fucking wrecking me. But, yeah, look at that. Middle of the night.
You actually looked a little more settled here. Was it because you were in a group?
Well, it was evident they were going to catch me at some point. Because of said lack of fitness, it was going to be easier to run in a pack than try and run out in front of them and try and fight them off. So we just stayed together for about 10k, which was great. I loved it.
Right, so that's now, oh shit, well through checkpoint 1. Still a good group of 4, which is fucking brilliant. And yeah, look at these views. Hamstring, turbo shit state. So that's 1 hour, 30 in, 15k. You can just see the lead 3 cresting the hill. Hamstring is gone. I'm gonna just battle my way through this now. These uphills are destroying it. So just have to gonna fucking push the pedal when we get to checkpoint 2. 5th isn't far behind either. Fucking hell.
At this point, did you think your race was over?
I knew that the combination of my loss in fitness and my hamstring, I wasn't going to sustain the pace that they were running. There was no way I was going to stay with them. Mike, who actually won the race, was looking real strong. All three of them at this stage actually were looking strong. But yeah, Mike, who won, he just looked cool and calm and collected. So I just had to let him go. And at this point, my concern wasn't actually catching them. It was not getting caught.
This definitely came across in the next few clips, and the pain and struggle is evident. Let's take a look.
20k, fully aboard the struggle bus. Hamstring, still holding fourth, but fifth is just around that corner. So for me, let's get this race done. Come on, we're walking, but we've got to get it done. 23k in, just going uphill constantly. Fifth's just behind. Hamstrings in dire straits. Oh, come on. Let's get fucking through this, is it? Nearly at checkpoint 2 now. Another K probably. Well, that's 25k. And guess what? Still fucking climbing. And I'm still walking. Still fourth, but fifth is just behind me again. Still. This is what the hurt locker looks like, ladies and gents. 7:15 per kilometre, 25 kilometres, 2 hours 34. I am fucking dangling. Come on! $30k. That's curtains for my race. I have to keep stopping every couple hundred metres, trying to stretch my hamstring off, and just about to be overtaken by, I'm in 6 now, just about to be overtaken by 7th. Fucking grind. 18k left.
Watching them clips back, was there ever a point you thought you were going to quit?
Never. I knew I was never going to quit. I'd crawl over the line if I had to. But at this point, I pretty much convinced myself and accepted the fact that I wasn't going to get a top 5 that I wanted. My focus now was to just sneak inside that top 10.
What position were you?
Well, at this point, me and Natalie were jockeying back and forth for 6th and 7th. Natalie ended up coming first female. The hills, she would run them, every single one of them. She wouldn't stop. She was looking really strong. I couldn't run the hills because of my hamstring. But then my bigger stride meant I'd catch her on the downhills. So we just kept yo-yoing. And we'd done this for about an hour or so.
Okay. 35k in, 13k left. The grind.
Me and Nat were side by side about 43k, and we could see 3rd, 4th and 5th up in front of us. Paul Jones, who later found out to be a fellow veteran, had come past me and Natalie and taken over Daniel and Tim, so he was now in 3rd. But about 600 metres away, I could see them both walking uphill. When I saw Paul had overtaken the pair of them, that woke something up inside of me. I said to myself, if he can catch them, then I fucking can catch them. And that was it. The next hill come up, and instead of going into the routine of walking and Natalie passing me, I kept going and going and going. With those two still in my sights, the gap closed. I knew I was going to have them. And in the distance, I could see that they were adopting the same strategy as me. One was walking the hills whilst one was running. I said to myself, I'm going to catch these and push past them and create enough of a gap by running the hill that it would break them and they wouldn't be able to catch me. Well, eventually I passed them and I continued to push up the hill, looking over my shoulder, and they continued to walk. A good sight to me. 4th place was now mine. Carrying this pace, I could see Paul up in front, and the gap was getting smaller. Thought to myself, I can get 3rd here. At this point, every part of my body was screaming at me to stop. But I couldn't. Now the fire had been lit. I wanted to catch Paul. I wanted that 3rd place. How had I gone from 8th to 3rd? As I passed Paul, we come down a hill, through some muddy tracks, and I turned to him and said, are there any more hills left? And he said, well, I'm a local boy. And he laughed. He pointed at the hill in front of us. Big, steep, muddy hill. That was the last one. It could have dashed my dreams, but I was more determined to get to that top of that hill and push. Running through the town centre, I had just over a mile left. I could feel my pace slowing. I kept turning back to look for Paul, and he kept that distance about 200 metres. The run to the campsite took way longer than I expected, and was probably the longest mile I've ever run. But as I came through the campsite, I could see the finish. I pushed on, and I looked back once more and pushed for the finish. I did it. I crossed the line, and I claimed 3rd place.
So amazingly, you crossed the line in 3rd place. How the hell did that happen? When at 40k you were ready for the bin. What a comeback, because to me throughout that race you looked in pain and deflated. Just goes to prove that you should never quit, and that the mind is so powerful. How do you feel after the race?
It's taken a while for it to settle in, but living with a brain condition has taught me that no matter what the challenges we face in life, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. At 42k, I saw an opportunity. I saw an opportunity to show some grit, some balls, some determination, and I saw an opportunity to show and do what I say. I never ever give up.
Awesome, Dad. Great race. What's next?
Well, I've got Penavan this weekend. 10 times up and down Penavan in 24 hours.
Don't forget to smash that subscribe to keep updated on the 6 ultras in 6 months.
See you in a few days.